It is reported that in a few years to come, many people may not have jobs. Why? Because of artificial intelligence. But I believe that we can actually coexist because, I mean, if you believe in God like I do, there is a reason we have the brains that we have. And who makes AI? We do. So why not find ways of maneuvering and making sure that it is tailor-made in a way that it can exist and we exist as well? But I'm not the expert here. I have Mr. Ntwatwa for that. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Thank you so much, Madam Najuma. I'm very, very grateful to be here. Thank you so much for the viewers out there that are watching UBC Good Morning Show. I'm very grateful. My name is James Brian Ntwatwa from Incredible Youth International.
Yes. And as Incredible Youth International, tell us more. What do you do?
Incredible Youth International was established in 2005. We've been working with young people. I have personally visited about 1,600 schools across the country. We have a small network of up to 6 million young people that are involved in 60 countries globally. And we have been focusing on career guidance and helping young people understand that the future that they're looking for starts immediately. They don't have to wait until they finish campus. They don't have to wait until they're chosen from whoever is offering jobs. They can start creating the future they want as early as yesterday. So we are grateful here, and I'm happy to be discussing about the topic of career guidance, but also under contemplating the future of work and how to survive in the artificial intelligence era that is here now.
Exactly. And it's been here with us for a bit of time. It's just that now, more than ever, we are realizing that it is here and it is here to stay. And now we are in competition with it, because there was a time when my competition was you.
Yes.
But now my competition and your competition is actually not another human being.
Yeah.
It is these tools that we have created to simplify work. And now they are doing such a good job that now we have to be worried. Now, speaking about career guidance, let's start there. What does career guidance mean to start with?
Career guidance is strictly or simply a way of helping a young person realign them to the purpose for their creation, to simply help them using their skills and talents and strength to help them understand what's best for them. You know, I'll give you a very good example. We have so many wonderful career masters in school, and simply because a child is performing well in a subject doesn't necessarily mean that this child is going to succeed in a particular career choice. For instance, a child could be very good at sciences, and the parents would also emphasize that this child becomes a doctor. But when it comes to getting them to the hospital and acquaint them with the environment of the hospital, you find out that most of these young people are going to either break down or collapse because they are not necessarily used to this experience. It's very possible for you to be perfect at doing sciences, but yet you are not wired or developed to handle syringes, to handle blood, and anything that comes from the environment of a hospital. Some of us are very passionate, but I would never want to see a person dying, for example. I would never want to see, to press an individual because I'm trying to get something out of them.
Me neither.
Yeah. So in as much as I would do well with sciences, I'm not a perfect doctor. There are those that are very good with, that want to be pilots, but yet can't handle heights. So sometimes, in order for one to help the other, one of the things that we want to do is a hands-on experience. So that, yes, you want to be a pilot, but can you handle height? Can you be instructed? Because in the world of flying, you don't work with teachers or lecturers, you work with instructors, which implies you are supposed to follow instructions. But there are some of us that want to try out things on our own. We are unruly, for lack of a better word. So career guidance is to simply help someone understand the dynamics of a particular career in the different sectors of economy.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do we have that? Do you know, because this is your field of expertise, and at least I remember when I sat my senior six many years ago that I won't mention.
Yeah.
But we never had that. So many years later, do we have this in our local schools? I understand that international schools may have this, but how about our grassroots schools in the villages, in the neighborhoods? Do they have career guidance included in their programs?
I want to be more than honest. It is the reason why Incredible Youth International appealed to the government to establish a National Career Guidance Day. And we thank God that the Ministry of Education agreed and gazetted 20th March as the official National Career Guidance Day. You go to even some big local schools and they will show you a career master, and it is that day that the career masters themselves will know that they are the career masters. Like the information arrives to them at that very moment. It's like I ask you, do you know any pathologist here? And then you mention someone, and then they themselves are not sure if you're implying that they are the ones. Yes. So what happens is some of the schools that are involved in career guidance across the country, the career master simply asks students, what do you want to do? Or what do you want to be when you grow up? And if a child says, I want to be a lawyer, they say, okay, take these subjects. So they direct you to the right subjects. But the dynamics of involving you into a mentor who is practicing law, into the environment of law that would enhance your decision is not available. Why? They're overwhelmed. Take an example of a school like Mengo Senior School. There's a careers department that has less than 5 career masters in the entire department.
And yes, this school has thousands
about 6,500 students.
Yes.
So you realize that they are overwhelmed with the numbers. Even if each one was assigned to 500 students, it is not enough. So it is a responsibility of parents, of cousins, of siblings, of teachers, of every person to ensure that a young person is aligned to their career choice.
Okay,
yep.
That's a very important perspective. But now the Ministry of Health rolled out a new curriculum that was at the tail end of 2019, and it started in 2020, right before the pandemic. How is Incredible Youth International working with schools to bring this to fruition? Because at least we understand that this new curriculum is trying to steer clear of the way we used to teach back in the day and help children to find pathways earlier in their academic journey.
I really want to strongly take this opportunity to thank the Ministry of Education for introducing this career or new curriculum, because it's really going to help enhance the education sector and show direction to young people. I'll give you an example. Previously, by 2019, we had around 15 million young learners in the school setup between primary, secondary, and university. About 2 million young people would join university every year.
Yes. For
the last 10 or so years. And out of those, for whatever reasons, 1.7 would drop out of school, either because they couldn't cope up with the tuition or a dead year or teenage pregnancy or whatever reasons. And of the 300,000 that are able to get out of the university, only 15,000 jobs are created by both the private sector and government. And yet, I want to emphasize to the general public, now that I have an opportunity, it is not the role of the government to create jobs. The role of the government is to create infrastructure, the roads, the electricity. The role of the government is to provide peace and security for the citizens of the country. The role of the government is to create education. And then lastly, the role of the government is to create health sector. Those are the 4 things that the government is supposed to do. The role of the general public is to survive and create jobs, pay the taxes so that the government can continue doing its role. So it is our responsibilities as a citizen of the country. But we are always blaming the government for not creating jobs. It is not its mandate globally. It is not the role of the government to create jobs. But the challenge is that because we are not sensitized enough to take responsibility in establishing opportunities for employment, we are always pushing the blame to the government. But coming back to the purpose as to why we need career guidance, imagine out of the 300,000 that are qualified to work that come out of universities every year, only less than 15,000 jobs are created. And the 285,000 young people are now scattered on the streets. Some are, due to brain drainage, gushing out of the country, going to other places to look for what they call greener pastures. And we realize that the country has lost a great deal of talented people that are able to come and develop this wonderful country. They go, and there's a new term that is coming up. It's called economic refugees.
Yes.
And those are people who don't necessarily travel because there's war at home, because they're mistreated, but they're even willing to lie to get asylum so that they can go and work in these different countries. But the main reason is to go and try to look for resources.
And
so,
we have those in plenty.
Absolutely. So what we are trying to do is to help young people as early as possible, as early as senior 1, to help them understand that can they start looking from within if they are good at, let's say, making cookies and baking, and then they nurture that talent every holiday. They keep getting skills. So that by the time they are graduating, instead of looking for jobs, they're looking for extra help from other people. They're hiring. Someone has started their company, a bakery, and they're getting contracts.
Problem.
Absolutely. Instead of saying, okay, let me wait until campus, then I start delivering my CVs to different job centers. So that is one of the things that we are focusing on. Of course, working with other different partners. Yeah.
Okay, you did mention that it is not the job of government to create jobs, and on that you're right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the things the government is supposed to create, like infrastructure and health, but
Education.
also government creates policies that favor different sectors.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of policies, what policies do we have in place that favor the growth of the education sector in our country?
One of the strong policies that I really commend the government for is to allow private players to come on board. Before, it was strictly the government, and it's still in other countries, that create jobs. That create schools, that provide education, schools, pay teachers and things like that. But now private sector is invited to come on board. You and I can create a school any day, as long as we meet the criteria of the government to establish a school, and we can bring other students. The government keeps, of course, managing and monitoring these schools, but it has enhanced the education sector.
Has it though?
Yeah.
Because someone else out there may argue that, yes, the private sector, because if you're looking at grades, yes, when you look at the children or students coming from the private schools, they really work. Lately, private schools are giving government-owned schools or church-funded schools a good run for their money.
Yeah.
But there is the concern of profitizing the industry so much that parents are now grappling with school fees, and yet the curriculum is the same. So what do you say to someone who says, okay, yes, education is now readily available according to your pocket, but the private sector is going a little overboard in the fees structure? Yes,
I'll be honest with you. Government provide moderate education, and the current dynamics of life require extra attention to detail. For instance, in government schools, it is normal to eat posho and beans, but some parents would prefer that their kids have a balanced diet, So there are those extras that hike the fees, including uniforms. The government might have a moderate or modest
Mr.
uniform.
Ntwatwa, today's
Yes.
uniforms, do we really have to talk about them?
But you find certain schools that really dress well.
Yeah.
And I think to each their own. I believe that there shouldn't, if a parent affords a school that is within their means, that shouldn't be a problem. I think we shouldn't bring everyone to the same table and yet the earnings are different. If all you can afford is, let's say, and government has provided free education through universal primary education and UCE. So I think if it's a matter of affordability, but the education is available for all. And even for those that cannot necessarily handle the education sector at all, internet is full of wonderful concepts and programs that can educate anyone, free of charge. The challenge is people use internet strictly for entertainment. According to the report from the ICT ministry, we as a country use 86% of data on entertainment. It is only 16%, actually between 16 and 14% that is used on education and research. If you can flip the chart, then so many things can happen.
You're very right on that, because when you look at applications like TikTok,
Yes.
back in China, it is used for inventing and for education.
Yeah.
But when you flip it and see what we use it for here, that's where you're going to find content that I personally don't understand sometimes. And you see with applications, the algorithm is going to feed you what you keep watching.
Absolutely.
If I normally tell people when I'm on TikTok, I don't see the things you people see, and it doesn't mean I'm special, but I'm saying there are things I'm interested in, maybe politics, maybe different issues, and this is what I keep getting.
Exactly.
Yet there is someone who is always watching comedy on their TikTok, and this is a majority of Ugandans.
Yes.
But now let's look at the future of work.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the theme for the National Career Guidance Day, which will happen on 20th March. And this is spearheaded by the Ministry of Education and Sports, and Incredible Youth International is part of it. But now, looking at the future of work, we did talk about AI in the beginning. But first of all, before we delve into artificial intelligence, what do you where are we standing right now? We're looking at the statistics of the students, the number of students that are being churned out of universities every single year, vis-a-vis the jobs that we have right now.
I want to tell you a very sad story. About a year ago, I was in Latvia. I find a young gentleman who is working for an American company, and his task was to establish 250,000 jobs across the world, especially he was in charge of Europe, Asia, and Africa. So he says, finally, I find a person from Africa who is passionate about young people. He says, can you go back to Uganda and find me 50,000 young people who could be able to work, and I'll be able to pay them between $2,500 to $3,000 per month. And your organization will be facilitated with $500 per individual that you onboard. I got so excited when I did the math. 50,000 times $500 for Incredible Youth International, that's $25 million. So who doesn't want such an offer? I came, lashed out to different IT centers. I went to Makerere University, I went to MOBS, and we were able to get about 1,000 young people, compile them, and then share their CVs with this gentleman. And he said, okay, I have a link for you, and whoever passes it will get the job. It's unfortunate that none of
the 1,000
that I found, probably there are greater people out there in this country, but of the people that I mobilized, none was able to pass the test in order to secure themselves a job. And I'm not saying our education sector is not yet good enough, but if you go to the international standards of the ICT sector, we are really lagging behind as a country. So what am I trying to say? Is that because our focus areas are not yet IT-centric, we are still a little bit traditional in the way of life, in the way of thinking. Limited young people go on TikTok or go on the internet to research about different trends happening in the world. And those that are already there don't need such kinds of jobs because they are already established. Personally, I work for more than 5 companies from Europe, USA, and Uganda. So I will never at one point take my CV anywhere in this country to look for a job. I'm very comfortable. But I'm saying it could apply to any young person. The world is no longer limited to the landlocked country that we live in. You can, once you get the right skills, work from Uganda, but work for anyone, anywhere. There are opportunities all over the world that can enhance the job sector, the industry. The business processing outsourcing sector is rich with opportunities. But we are limited and we are crying out to government to establish jobs simply because we think that it is the duty of the government to provide this. And yet it is our own responsibility to search for such opportunities. So to answer your question, we are lagging behind.
We are lagging behind.
Yeah.
And from that experience you had with
Yeah.
the students that whose CVs you got, and
Yeah.
none of them got the job.
Yeah.
It was an IT-related job.
Yes, yes. Some of the opportunities that, or the workload for these companies, they could be given, for instance, a job to manage the rail system of France, their entire transport system. It means that you need to develop algorithms that deal with, in case someone finds a challenge on the road, they usually do a lot of suicides. If someone falls, can the train that is automatic stop as opposed to crushing this person? But at the same time, maintain the time, because Europe and the rest of the world keep time. Ours, we have taxis that even reverse to pick a person
And
who is
then take
walking
their
slowly.
time.
Absolutely. For us, we are not affected so much with time, apart from certain few sectors, like TV stations, you guys have
if
to
you're
keep time.
supposed to be here at
Absolutely.
a certain time, you're
Yes.
supposed to be here
Yeah.
at a certain
So,
time.
but there are people that don't value the idea of time. So those are some of the systems that, in case you are given the task to develop and maintain the time, you don't have room for excuses. I have run out of data. There's a power cutoff in my neighborhood, so I cannot continue with the work. Like the general excuses that we give them. So this test test was to test those key small skill sets, but also at the same time finding solutions just in case there's a challenge that has come up. So our young people were not used to that kind of critical thinking in such a dynamical environment, especially working with Python and these other different languages, the computer use languages. Yeah.
Oh, I see a big problem there. Now, this is when I bring in Incredible Youth International. Now that you identified a problem
Yeah.
in that realm,
Yeah.
how are your programs designed to help people like that?
Yeah. The first step is to bring a conversation to discuss. I'm very grateful to UBC because through this platform, several people will be able to come out and say, hey, I can help in this solution. So when you identify a challenge, help is on the way. Like there's a saying that a problem shared is halfway solved or handled. So we believe that there are people out there that could find solutions. Secondly, we are reaching out to several key stakeholders. We are partnering with UNICEF. We are in talks with the Private Sector Foundation, MasterCard, European Union, and other key players in the digital space that can come up with solutions. It's never a person's responsibility, a single person's responsibility, but a collective, communal responsibility. And I believe that is one of the challenges that our young people are facing, is because our schools teach competition and not collaboration. Give young people a lot of work that there is no room for creativity. And yet it is creativity that leads to productivity. And it's because of the products that we can have as a country and willing to export that our economy can grow. But we do the reverse. We import more than we export. And it's a challenge that we can deal with later on. The other is the challenge with communication. Most of us stay gloomy, and yet if we are able to share the experiences, the opportunities, the challenges we are facing, then solutions can be able to be developed from within. So those are some of the areas that we think we can handle. The other is critical thinking. We do not have young people that are thoughtful in any decision. Why? Because of the culture of pessimism. Every time you see a stranger, you are scared of them as opposed to embracing them with positivity. We are worried. We have diverted thinking into being worried. So most of the people who say, I am thinking about something, they are simply worried about something.
And when you worry, from whichever perspective you want to look at it as, when you worry, whether, let's say you worry as a Christian, well,
exactly.
You spend time worrying and not talking to God about your problem.
Yes.
But let's say in the place of work, if you worry, you're not finding solutions.
Absolutely.
That's where critical thinking that he mentioned comes in. And that's very key. Do you think that critical thinking should actually be involved, added onto our syllabus?
Absolutely, absolutely. As one of the 21st century skills, critical thinking leads to innovation. Yes. The reason why we have very limited innovators in the country is because most of us are involved in worrying. We worry about the traffic, we worry about being late, we worry about relationships,
we are so busy being
bills, we worry about political atmosphere. Now, the whole discussion, I won't even mention it, is about one leader getting some money.
We have had a field day with that. Yes, we have. And in so doing that, we are not creating.
Absolutely. We are not developing. We are not moving forward. We are always living in the past. If you meet a random young person and ask them what is on their mind, they are thinking about things that happened yesterday and beyond.
Yesterday is gone.
Absolutely.
And tomorrow is an illusion. You have today. Wow. So critical thinking.
Yes, yes. Critical thinking leads to innovation. If we embrace critical thinking, you have to take time, at least 1 hour every day, to come up with an idea and create a solution. Something that makes you passionate and happy. Something that will give you drive to hang in there, regardless of the challenges that you're going through. If you don't have drive, if you don't have the courage, then you are doomed, unfortunately. So critical thinking is very crucial for young people. Once you have good critical thinking, then you understand that you need a team of people to work with. One of the other reasons that we are lagging behind is that everyone wants to work on their own.
That is, I mean, people in Uganda fear partnerships, but when you look at Silicon Valley and you look at companies like Facebook, it was started by two friends. You look at Apple, you'll find that Bill Gates was working, that is Steve Jobs, he was working with someone else. You look at Google, they worked two gentlemen. But we want this solo. Why? Why do we have that culture of wanting to work alone?
It's a culture that we've developed, and because of coming from a place of pessimism, when you feel like someone is about to rob me, someone is about to harm me, you're already scared of your neighbor because you are negative about what can happen out of this relationship. And not willing to embrace. Is
it rooted in our culture?
Partly because of the things that we are exposed to, because of the things that we are ingrained within our hearts and spirit. Imagine you are seated in a classroom with a fellow young person and they are hiding their notes. Not even a test, they're hiding their notes from you. Because perhaps the teacher was dictating a certain topic, and there are certain words that you couldn't understand, and you need your neighbor to help you with the right spelling.
We do this even in church. What has he said?
As exactly.
You're taking your notes.
Yes. So if we are so mean to one another, then how will we be able to work together towards a common good, especially that brings profit? You have had the idea of government encouraging us to start circles where people raise money for a common good. And suddenly we are afraid because there are some elements who at one point took advantage of that system and ran away with money. And we're saying, we should never go into circles. The leader will always run away with our cash.
And yet today, is one of the best ways to access money quickly and at a good rate is through circles.
Absolutely, and investment clubs.
And investment clubs, yes. And speaking about circles and investment clubs, there is something else that I think as we guide people in their career, we need to also talk about the power of networking.
Absolutely.
Do you think young people have given the tools to guide them through networking, or do they even know how important it is to have a good network? Because they say your network is your net worth.
Yeah, I think it also goes back to the cultures and our parents, because back then a child was raised by a community. So everyone was responsible to discipline and to nurture a young person. In today's era, we have gates, we have strict rules that
we
a child...
have gates within the gates.
Absolutely. We have strict rules that a child can only be disciplined by the parents. And even then, protect your child, because even your immediate uncle can sexually abuse your daughter or your son.
Because the world has gone haywire.
Absolutely. But it's a mindset. There are good uncles out there. There are good parents. We create our own world by the thought process. It is very possible that as a young person, everything you think about will actually happen. If you look at the negativity of this world, trust me, you're going to embrace it and it's going to be working in your favor. If you look at the other side of positivity, if you see that there are good people out there, trust me, they will come your way. We create the world we live in with our thought process, with the way we see life. It is evidently true.
We are our thoughts.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Absolutely. As in today's era, there are still great uncles that have taken responsibility of even sponsoring school fees for kids out there. They are complete strangers that are taking care of people they do not know of in their background. I have kids that I take care of. I don't even know their parents, but I just feel it's good to add to the world.
You have the resources and you know the importance
And
of an education.
Once you take responsibility as a person, the resources will come. Once you take responsibility, no one is born with money and a silver plate. It is responsibility. If you're willing to share the little you have, there are several resources. A few days ago, I was talking to one of our partners. He's the founder of Noah's Ark in Mukono. He has taken care of more than 500,000 young people that are abandoned. They come to him, they call him Papa Peter out there in Mukono. He has raised. He's the reason why we actually have the new curriculum. He's a gentleman from the Netherlands. He came in with a family as a missionary, and then he got stuck in Uganda. He loved the country, he loved the young people, and he devoted himself to help these young people. And right now, the young people have graduated, they have started factories, they have started different businesses. He has a vocational secondary school, he has a nursery school, he has hospitals, he has coffee farms, he has more than half a square mile in this country, in different places, doing so many wonderful things. But he didn't have any resources. Yes. He told me one secret, that if you are willing to help, the resources will come. But if you're selfish and self-centered, you will never get resources. It will be limited to what you can afford.
Well, it takes us back, I don't know if you're a Christian, but it takes us back to the parable of the sower.
Yes.
Some people, the talents. One person was given a talent, they decided to keep it.
Yes.
Another person decided to multiply it.
Absolutely.
So it depends. And I like when you said that we are our thoughts. I also like to say that words have power.
Absolutely.
And the power of life and death is in your tongue. Now, this is even not spiritual. It is, what do you say every day? What thoughts do you have when you read books like Atomic Habits?
Yes.
All of these books are telling you one thing: change your attitude, have positive thinking, this is how you're going to get from one step to another. But now, the elephant in the room,
Yes.
artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Yes. So today, unlike a few years ago when the most computer skills you needed was to start the computer and shut it down,
Yes.
and maybe type a few things in your Excel sheet or your Word document. Today we have gone beyond that. We are using chatbots
Yes.
in real time.
Yes.
We are using ChatGPT in real time to write assignments, to write reports and whatnot.
Yeah.
But with that, in as much as artificial intelligence is making life simpler, for instance, students today are using it to write exams,
Yeah.
it is bringing forth certain negatives. So before we even talk about the benefits of artificial intelligence, let's talk about some of the negatives that are coming from AI, and also how do we tell fakes from good ones? You understand where I'm coming from?
Yes. Yeah, just to start with examples, there's been an ongoing debate recently when one of our young superstars, Azawi, composed a song called Teva on TikTok. Not on TikTok, but the conversation is on TikTok mainly. And one of the young people twisted her voice and used the voice of the late Mose Radio.
Using AI.
Using AI. And so the general public started a discussion that actually Azawi stole a hard disk of Mose Radio, and this was one of the songs on the hard disk.
That he had
so
not
Azawi
yet.
is really frustrated, trying to even sue this gentleman that twisted the voices. But now people are excited about the voice of the late Mose Radio, and they are believing that it's actually the guy that wrote the song or even composed that. But it's AI. Right now we see areas where Alien Skin is having a collaboration with Diamond Platnumz, even on video.
Imagine that.
So this is the power of AI. Someone can literally use you, change your voice, and say nasty things. You've seen videos where they're using Barack Obama and Trump and Joe Biden having a conversation, even the President Putin of Russia. This is all AI. These guys are not saying those things that you're watching in some of the videos. It is the power of AI. So someone can use artificial intelligence to frame you. So sooner or later, court is going to dismiss that evidence, both audio and visual evidence.
Because we may not be in position to tell who is telling the truth.
Absolutely.
Or what has been artificially
Yes,
augmented.
exactly. And fraudsters have started using AI to rob people. I think some of you have already gotten hold of a story in Hong Kong where a bank colleague was duped and ordered by their chief financial officer to transfer over $20 million to 15 different accounts to 5 banks in Hong Kong. The money will never be recovered, but someone used AI, and this junior officer saw their boss, the CFO, plus other colleagues that he knows very well, using the company's website, and they were communicating to him and instructing him to do that. Now, it's until the transfer was made that he realized that he was talking to AI.
Eish.
And not real people.
Oh dear.
So that is how far AI is coming. And now if it comes to Uganda,
where most people do not really understand how diverse and how damaging AI can be.
Absolutely.
Because now we have a case on our hands. Azawi is being accused of having stolen a song of the late Mose Radio, yet it is actually her song. And because he was a master of his craft, it's very easy for people to believe that, Azawi might have stolen the song. Yet Azawi is also very good at what she does.
Absolutely.
So that's where artificial intelligence has brought us. And still, before delving into the benefits, when I earlier mentioned that you can use artificial intelligence to write reports, to do your assignments, but don't you think that this, in a way, is actually ruining creativity?
Absolutely. To some point, it is promoting laziness amongst young people. Right now, the world is changing. And COVID taught us a lesson that it's very important to get in touch with real people as opposed to being isolated and work from home, focus on virtual platforms. And the more this AI is coming, the more we are losing touch with real people. And that is, in a way, turning us into aliens to each other. We don't know how to relate with people anymore. And yet, we are coming from a background of a communal society.
We are communal beings.
Absolutely. Now, it has affected the Western world. And you've heard stories that a lady had programmed her system where the bank pays all the bills on her behalf, so she doesn't have to pay rent or pay water bills. So she died in her house, and she was discovered 6 months later.
My goodness.
Because everything else, she had a smart home, lights would come on at the right time and go off as using artificial intelligence. Everything would work normally without her necessarily touching anything because it was programmed. And it is until the bills stopped coming in that now the banks or the people that were supposed to be paid got concerned. How come this lady is no longer paying? And on finding out, because in the US you can live with your neighbor but never interact.
That's
for
true.
a whole year. You don't know the identity of a person living next to you, who they are, what they do, and things like that. It's very common. I've lived in France for several months, and I've realized that it's very possible to walk past people daily and not even say hi because everyone wants to mind their own business. So that once AI comes in a country like Uganda and people can solve their problems without interacting with anyone, that culture is going to come, and it brings danger.
And it, to a degree, it is already here. You can, if let's say you're working from home, you're buying we don't need to go to the shop to buy a scratch card anymore for airtime.
Exactly.
So you're buying your airtime using your phone.
Yes.
You can access your bank using your bank app.
Yes.
You can buy food using Jumia Foods or other online food delivery services, Cafe Javas and whatnot. You can study online.
Yes.
You can have everything coming to you at home, at least for those living in urban centers. Yes. But okay, that's the downside. Still, it is not a terrible thing to have. We just need to learn how to manage and coexist with AI.
Absolutely.
Now let's look onto the good side.
The good side.
And how AI can actually propel Uganda's education sector to greatness.
Absolutely. Now, I'll give you an example. I represent a company from Estonia called OPIC, and the purpose of this OPIC is to digitalize all the local published content based on the curriculum onto the digital platform where young people can access a textbook, any textbook, local textbook, with on their gadgets, computers, MacBooks, laptops, phones, and different gadgets that they are using. That, in a way, gets rid of, it's cheaper, more efficient, it's accessible anytime, more affordable than the normal textbooks, but at the same time, you can use this textbook anywhere, anytime, and keep in touch with the education system. So it's, in a way, solving a problem that you don't need to first access the school library to have access to certain content. The teacher can use this platform to set notes and take tests to young people, and they can, from wherever they are, fill in and get responses immediately using the AI platform. The other thing, like I myself, you can work from anywhere. You don't have to report to a certain office desk in order for you to work. I literally use my computer and I can work from anywhere and submit work. There are lots and lots of opportunities online. You can work for a Chinese company stationed in Uganda. You don't have to fly there. Once you are techno-savvy, you can work for any international company, IBM, you can work for Microsoft, you can work for Amazon in Uganda. And literally, one of the plans that we have as Incredible Youth is to establish the business processing outsourcing center in our place in Mukono, so that we can avail opportunities for young people to make $9, $15 per hour for these international firms and companies.
The amounts you're mentioning are literally the minimum wage for people living in these countries.
Yes.
So you're saying that young people can actually earn this money
even more,
locally,
depending on the task at hand.
That's
even
interesting.
More, even more.
And so bearing that in mind,
Yeah.
how is Incredible Youth International guiding young people to adjust themselves to artificial intelligence, its benefits, and of course, to know and traverse through the challenges?
One of the things that we are doing, we really commend you for asking this question, is we are partnering with Ministry of Education. They have a department called the Digital Agenda. We are part of the key stakeholders that are supporting the process, and soon the Ministry of Education is going to be launching the Digital Agenda. Secondly, we are working with companies, with institutions like UNICEF. There is a great product that we are launching on the National Career Guidance Day coming this 20th March. It's called the U Report, where you will use your phone, WhatsApp, talk to a chat box, and you will ask it any question in terms of artificial intelligence and in terms of career guidance, and it will be able to answer you. It will be like a coach. You will ask it about anything, as long as it will be like an interaction with someone, and yet it's literally dealing with your information. And what we need are more content creators that will feed in as much as possible information to cater for every topic. Right now, we are limited to certain topics, things to do with health, career guidance, the job market, AI, and a few other key areas.
But we want to later on open up to different topics.
Yes, so that you have a person or friend that instead of interacting with Nalumansi or Nakaka or Naka today, you will be able to talk to this coach, and it will be answering your questions in pertaining to the professional career choice that you're taking.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, before we close, because we just have a few minutes left, tell us tell us when and where the National Career Guidance Day is happening.
Well, thank you. This is the 5th year we've been holding this event at Kololo Airstrip. We are grateful to the Ministry of Education and Office of the First Lady. They have been honoring our invitation to come and participate. The government is very interested in nurturing and empowering young people across the country. We have a youth center in Mukono near the satellite, Mpoma satellite. I think Mukono stands out to become one of the most digital environments that Uganda has ever had. Imagine it has the Earth satellite, and I think it is the biggest in the country. And so many media houses work with this satellite, including telecoms. So just next to it is where our center is. We are going to be taking advantage of improving technology in that area. We are working with NITA, we are working with the ICT ministry. We are involving other friends. I have a friend of mine, a young man coming from North Carolina in Charlotte, that is coming to invest in helping us establishing an AI center. She's a young person in his early 30s, but has a company of about 150 million US dollars. He's into construction. It's a family business that he took on and is growing, but he's so passionate about young people. He's interested to come and interact with young people, get to understand ideas from the African setting. So we appeal to all young people that have wonderful dreams to come and bring them to board. We have people that are willing to invest in these ideas. We want to create a hub that can bring venture capitalists together and finance good ideas. And hopefully, the reason why Estonia is the #1 information and technology hub in the whole world is because they embraced IT services and IT solutions it is the country that has the biggest startups. And startups are ideas. In fact, I was going to talk about earlier on that money is not the physical cash that we hold. Money is in the ideas. I could give you $1 million right now in cash. If I have no idea. If you have no idea of sustaining that cash, you'll be doomed.
Well, that it seems like we are just getting started, yet we've been here for quite a minute. This has been quite a pivotal conversation with Mr. James Brian Ntwatwa from Incredible Youth International. And Incredible Youth International will be at the National Career Guidance Day at Kololo Airstrip. That will be on the 20th of March. So make it a point to be there. And for those asking for his contact in 1 second, can you share it?
Yes, 0752 619914. I pray that you just send WhatsApp messages or text,
yes,
because I get so many and I'm always sometimes on air that even if you call, I won't be able to pick up. So
just send WhatsApp
also to
messages.
Correct, this time around, for the last 4 years, we've been at Kololo Airstrip. This time we have a youth center. We have developed a youth center in Mukono, where we're going to be holding this event moving forward. Yeah, it's on 3 acres, it's growing, and we want to establish real clinics for career guidance so that we have different key stakeholders that are actually going to impart knowledge. It is limited to Kololo because the time frame is short, yes, but it's going to be opening 24/7 every day of the year. So that, yeah, absolutely.
So you should make it a point to attend it on the 20th of March 2024, and all your questions and any further information that you need, you will get that day. My name is Olive, and you have been watching Good Morning Uganda Extra. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Have you packed more with Harbour Jelly and Harbour Fog? Yes, we packed. It will protect your skin from skin rashes. More with pack. It is a new improved more with Harbour Jelly. So soft and smooth. It is a more with Harbour Jelly.
Tell me, kids, the sense. Any irritations? No more rashes and irritations. Movit Herbal Jelly and Herbal Soap is rich in natural herbs for a smooth and glowing skin.
Movit All Day Confidence.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually